us for this afternoon session on building environmental workforce diversity. With this, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Britany to kick things off.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you for hanging in there with us for the final sessions of this summit. Today, we'll be talking to you about the Mid-Atlantic region's Minority Serving Institutions program. My name again is Britany Clark, and I serve as the Minority Serving Institutions program coordinator. And what that means is that I oversee 9 of the memorandum of understandings that we have with 10 universities in our region, including a recent MOU that we signed with a nonprofit in Philadelphia. So the overall purpose of these partnerships, which is what a memorandum of understanding is that we want to create a pipeline of students who can come work for us here at EPA. And the way that we do that is that we try to have a presence on campus. We try to see what some of the school's needs are in terms of some of their environmental issues that they may be experiencing in their local communities or even on campus, whether it's some stormwater issues or sustainability practices that they want to implement on campus. So we try to do things where we interact with the students, interact with the faculty, do different projects and initiatives on campus to give the students an experience and a glimpse of what we do here in the region and within EPA. We try to span a wide variety of topics, so not just the sciences, but also some of our support areas as well. We try to offer some mentorships, whether it's directly through EPA or some of our partners with the state agencies, as you'll hear later in this presentation. It's also an opportunity to increase the university's participation in federal programs. We try to provide as much information as we can about federal opportunities for grants that can help support the schools financially to implement some of those projects I talked about previously in terms of sustainability or stormwater issues, as well as funding to help support their students. Overall, we're trying to support the students while they're on campus, in school, and eventually hopefully to make it to EPA. Overall, we want to have access to the students so that we can help prepare them professionally and help support them through their careers as students so that by the time they're ready to graduate, they will be ready to join us here in EPA. With that, I will turn it over to Eimy, who will discuss it a bit further.
We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So hi, everyone. My name is Eimy Bonilla. I'm an environmental engineer in EPA Regions 3's Air Remediation Division, Partnership Programs and Grants Branch, and a project officer for the Lincoln Environmental Academic Programs, otherwise known as LEAP MOU. The LEAP MOU was established in 2008, and the partners of the MOU are EPA Region 3, Hampton University, Norfolk State University, and the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, Tidewater Regional Office. One of the successes of this partnership, as you can see in the slide, is the student internships with VADQ Tidewater Regional Office. Up to date, there has been 16 students that have participated in the internship program, and one of them that has been hired as a contractor. We can go to the next slide now. The other MOU that I will briefly go over today is the Lincoln University MOU between EPA and Lincoln University. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection recently joined the MOU this past September, and there are 6 objectives of this MOU: student development, career development, campus sustainability, faculty development in environmental issues, environmental and environmental justice teaching resources, and environmental community outreach. We're highlighting the 3 objectives that you might hear the panelists speak of during this session, specifically the student development with the Environmental Science Research Internship Program, or otherwise known as SRIP. So we can go to the next slide now. Perfect. So we have 4 wonderful speakers with you today to share their experiences with internship programs that have stemmed from partnerships between EPA Region 3 and minority serving institutions. Panelists, as I speak about you, if you could please turn on your camera. So first we have John Brandt, the Regional Enforcement Air Compliance and Air monitoring manager at the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality, VADQ, Tidewater Regional Office located in Virginia Beach. In addition to managing air enforcement and air monitoring work, John has managed the LEAP MOU for his agency since 2008. That has provided 2 internships every summer in the regional air monitoring program. Managing the VADQ MOU program is a passion of John's, and he values the experience of providing internship opportunities, training, and responsibilities to the student interns. Next, we have Dr. Ruben Delgado, who is an associate professor in the Department of Atmospheric and Planetary Sciences at Hampton University. He holds a PhD in chemistry from the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras. His research interests focus on studying the coupling of chemistry and dynamics in the fields of air quality, wind energy, and rheology. Ruben has served as a principal investigator in multiple proposals and field campaigns in air quality and wind energy, and federally sponsored academic and research consortiums that promote diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility for underrepresented minority communities. He is the Hampton University liaison for the LEAP MOU with VADQ and the team leader in NASA's increasing participation for minority serving institution with surface-based measurement networks. Our third panelist is Dr. Anna Hull. She is a professor at Lincoln University and is passionate about equity and justice and sustainability. In her 19 years at Lincoln, she has promoted sustainable infrastructure and curriculum development. She serves as Lincoln's liaison to EPA Region 3 for their MOU. Originally a plant molecular biologist with a PhD from Boston University, her work at Lincoln University includes sustainable and organic gardening and farming. In collaboration with colleagues at Lincoln and support from Region 3, she secured funding from the National Science Foundation to build a sustainability curriculum and promote undergraduate research and intersectional sustainability. In addition, supplemental funding allows Lincoln undergraduates to complete paid internships at Region 3. And our fourth panelist is Ethan Daguisan, a Central High School alumnus from West Philadelphia and a recent graduate from the first HBCU, Cheyney University of Pennsylvania, where he earned a bachelor's in liberal studies, concentrating in public health and data analytics. In middle school and in high school, Ethan participated in community engagement with the Philadelphia-based nonprofit organization Youth Action, where he advanced to leading community service project as student director. Throughout college, he has participated in many internship opportunities, including the EPA Black Employment Program's Environmental Science Research Internship Program, the WeStar Institute, and the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. In large part due to these internships, Ethan will soon take the first steps toward a career in EPA as an EPA Pathways intern with the Environmental Justice, Community Health, and Environmental Review Division here in the Philadelphia office. We can stop sharing the slides now. So now we will move on to asking some questions to the panelists. The first question is for John Brandt. How has this partnership benefited both the students and VADQ?
Well, thank you very much. It's a good question. And for students, we believe it has provided a lot of benefit, as a lot of times these students is their first professional job. So they learn the manner of applying for a position. We interview them, and then we train them in real world experience in a professional job setting of the responsibilities of timeliness, responsibilities for state equipment, state vehicles. We train them to do independent air inspections. And we also train them to do independent report writing. And they also do enforcement actions and follow-ups. So they're also learning how to interact with the regulated community, and they also learn to interact with citizens, because we respond to citizen concerns, or also known as complaints, regarding various air issues. So they learn a lot, and they learn discipline in a professional setting. And they also learn how to interact and team with all levels of staff and management in our office, which are 70 people in this office in Virginia Beach. They learn other kinds of things. They learn professional attire. They learn safety equipment. We do everything we can to prepare them for their next level of employment. And we try to do our best to introduce them to the environmental world. Some apply for positions here. As was mentioned earlier, one did apply and began work with EPA as a contractor. For DEQ, it's very valuable. First of all, we are very happy and honored to participate in this program with, for our MOU, Hampton U and Norfolk State. And we work with both schools to have students apply. And for DEQ, we always learn something every year from the students that bring new ideas and a fresh perspective to our office and the way of doing things. We certainly have tried and true procedures and professional methods on the work we do, but we're certainly open to new perspectives that the students always bring. And we are also happy that we can expose is probably a good word to these students in the environmental world, which they may not have had in a variety of academic settings. And for DEQ, this also provides the opportunity to have a diverse view of what we do here. And we also send them to our headquarters in Richmond, so they're exposed to the management in that area at our headquarters. And it just raises a level of awareness for DEQ on what students every year are looking for. What can we help them to apply, and what can they show us in newer way of doing things? And this year, we really appreciate Dr. Delgado in helping us arrange 2 more students from Hampton U. Our hiring process takes a little while through the state system, but we work through it. And I have enjoyed doing this every year. It is a grant-funded program. We pay these students. This year, it's $20 an hour. And that the money for that comes out of our standard EPA grant. So I watch that to make sure it is available every year.
Thank you so much, John. I think you led it perfectly for me to ask the next question to Ruben. Dr. Ruben Delgado, how has working with state agencies helped you prepare your students for careers in the environmental field?
Thanks for the question, Eimy. So as John kind of nicely presented, we're trying to kind of make sure that the students in these internship opportunities really get in kind of multidimensional perspective of what entails to be working in an environmental agency. And from our point of view, from an academic setting, we want to make sure that all the critical skills that they would need in order to kind of have take advantage of these internship opportunities from academic research training experience, that they can do that at the best capacity that they can. So being able to have a good sense of it does regardless of their academic major, you can have a student that it can be in the sciences, engineering, or for that matter, social sciences, right? At the end of the day, the monitoring work that happens at, in this case, Virginia DEQ, you need to be able to, for lack of a better phrase, translate that with, you have to use a language that it kind of, it's easy to understand within all those different contexts of STEM and the social sciences. So from being able to understand what policy means, right? So regulation, in order to kind of make sure that regulation is being achieved, there is a certain standard that needs to be met. To get to the standard, there's, you know, some statistics that need to be accounted based on the measurements. So from that perspective, it's multi-level and very interdisciplinary. So making sure that the students get to experience that at multiple levels, it's what allows them to further on as they're kind of projecting themselves, right? They need to be able to see themselves. And these in this case with Virginia DQ, you know, they need to be seeing themselves as a potential employee or of someone that will be involved in their monitoring program. So having that experience of being able to put them in that setting at an early stage helps. And if they realize, you know what, as part of the experience with John, hey, so if I had these academic courses, that opens the door to be able to have a more, you know, to benefit more the public when it comes to policy. You know, like he said, they get the opportunity to go to Richmond and engage, you know, at the agency itself. So it allows to put multiple perspectives into place to be able for them to recognize these are the skills and academic knowledge that I need in order to be able to effectively contribute in those lines of employment.
Thank you, Ruben. We will next turn it to Dr. Anna Hull, who is part of the Lincoln MOU. How has the partnership between EPA and Lincoln benefited the students and the university?
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share today. So Lincoln University is fortunate in that we have a long line of alumni that work or have retired from the EPA Region 3, which means that we've had an MOU with the EPA for over 20 years. That MOU was reinvigorated in 2018 and then again last fall, as you mentioned earlier, when the PA Department of Environmental Protection was added. So after we renewed it in 2018, we immediately started working on a sustainability plan together with the EPA. And very early on got buy-in from university stakeholders, including our president, Dr. Allen, and our then chief financial officer. The plan, which was approved by the university, focused on greening of 3 Cs, including the curriculum, our campus, and our community. We had subcommittees made up right away, and as we were writing this proposal, actually, that covered the 3 different areas, plus an additional area that we just called student activities. So I'm going to talk about the 4 different areas separately. So when it comes to the curriculum, I applied for a grant from the National Science Foundation to build an interdisciplinary sustainability curriculum centered in food sustainability. And then later, when we secured that grant from NSF, we used that to leverage both our sustainability plan and the NSF grant to get appropriation funding to construct high tunnels to be used in that curriculum. So high tunnels are just indoor growing spaces. So the outcome of all of that has been that we've created a sustainability minor. We have written new classes. We have given lots of undergraduate students opportunities. I think I counted them, it was as many as 20 different students that have participated in undergraduate research through this grant opportunity and that have traveled to national conferences to present their work. And the funding to Lincoln from the federal government was nearly $600,000. So that's what has happened at the curriculum piece. And the campus piece, we've been able to institute a recycling program. I think the waste audit was mentioned in the introductory slide where we looked at looked at how much waste is produced in the cafeteria, and the cafeteria has actually changed how they do things. to reduce the waste, which is very welcomed. The university has also agreed to explore the possibility of building a solar farm. And we're also lucky to be able to get the water bottle fillers in all our renovated or new buildings on campus. When it comes to the community, we collaborate with local food banks, the largest of which is the Chester County Food Bank that kind of feed into smaller food banks in the local towns around Lincoln University, like the Kennett Area Community Center that we work closely with. So this gives our students opportunities to volunteer at the food banks. And also as we grow foods in our new growing spaces, we donate it to the food banks. We have also, together with these food banks, put on Earth Day activities at Lincoln University, where lots of students get exposed to all the things that it means to be food insecure and also learn how to grow your own food. We also have a collaboration with Longwood Gardens, which is very close by, and they have increased their diversified their perspectives in both activities and displays because of this collaboration. So for example, we put together a Juneteenth celebration with Longwood Gardens that's hosted both at Lincoln University and at Longwood Garden. When it comes to the student bit of this, how they have benefited is that they have been able to visit the EPA for Shadow Day. So we've taken students on several occasions to the EPA Region 3 offices in Philadelphia, where they get to follow along during the day and see what it looks like to work at the EPA. And because this program was so popular, we decided to kind of bring it to Lincoln instead. And we have had Federal Explorer Day, where employees from lots of different federal agencies, including the EPA, come to Lincoln's campus and talk about, they kind of have a table and they talk about what it means to work for that particular agency. And then they also offer resume workshops and help students apply to opportunities in the federal government. And then last but not least, we've had this environmental science research internship program called SRIP. That's a paid internship program that actually Ethan, our next speaker, even though he's not from Lincoln, has participated in at EPA Region 3. So this lasts throughout the year. Students learn about what it means to work at the EPA, all the things that the EPA does, and then they do a kind of semi-independent research project that they can present at the Lincoln University Science Fair, and that's also presented to members of the EPA. So those are the many ways that our partnership with the EPA has benefited our students, our faculty, and the university.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hull. You are all doing so much. So it's always really good to hear from all of you. And next we will hear from Ethan, who will give us a different perspective. So Ethan, how has internships prepared you for a career in the environmental field?
Okay, first off, I want to say thank you for having me here today. It is with great pleasure that I'm here to speak about my experience with EPA's ESRIP program. So during my time with Cheyney University, I've been with the ESRIP program for about 2 years. And in that program, I was able to excel and learn and progress in both technical skills as well as interpersonal skills. As far as professionalism, I've had mentors at EPA who've taught me things such as resume writing and basically how to do great in interviews as well. And this is one of the reasons why I was able to help. I was able to land an internship with the Pathways program just through the preparation that these mentors through the ESRIP program has granted me. Also through the ESRIP program, I was able to learn more about analysis and as far as the environmental science spectrum. At Cheyney University, I majored in liberal studies, concentration in public health data analytics. And through these internships, I was able to get more hands-on experience with the skills that I will be implementing in the future with the profession I chose. last year I was able to do a semi-independent research project on senior climate and senior climate adaptation, senior health and climate adaptation, where I was able to connect senior health with the climate change happening in the Philadelphia region. And with that, I was able to basically use EJ Screen and ArcGIS Pro to find the air quality in certain areas with correlation to the senior prevalence as well as the asthma prevalence, and make a project around that. And this year, I was able to collaborate with fellow Ezra peers in a collaborative case study where we got soil samples from our neighborhoods and went to an EPA coop to do an XRF analysis to find heavy metals and whatever substances that may be in these soil samples. So through EPA, I was able to get a very good hands-on approach, just from a science perspective and also professional perspective, and it was able to prepare me greatly for the opportunities to come in the future.
Wow, thank you, Ethan. I honestly didn't know that the internships were so cool. I wish I would have known about them when I was doing internships. But thank you to all our panelists. I really have truly enjoyed hearing about the different perspectives on all of this topic. And now I'm gonna turn it over to Britany. We're still having Q&A session at the end. We're just gonna turn it over to Britany and we can restart sharing the slides again.
Well, thank you all for sharing your experiences. As the Minority Serving Institutions Coordinator, it just brings me so much joy to see that the program is progressing and is providing benefits for both the students and the campus, as well as the professors and some of our state agencies. It takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication, and it takes the dedication of the people on the ground, the professors, our state agencies, and the students especially, to keep things moving and to make things beneficial for everyone that's involved. So the purpose for why we have this program is to, as I mentioned, to create a pipeline of students that will be prepared to work for EPA, but not just any students, just like a diverse pool of students. Because we're finding that diversity is what makes an organization that much stronger. To have different backgrounds and different perspectives, different skills and experiences can help us all come together to come with better plans and better policies that will help not only the agency do our jobs better and to be more efficient, but to help the communities that we serve as well. We want to be more reflective of those communities that we're serving, because a lot of what we do relies on empathy, understanding, and trust. So if you have a pool of a workforce who all have the same background, the same shared ideas, it's going to be hard for them to meet the new and changing ideas of different communities and to be able to see and understand what they need. But if we have a workforce that is comprised of people from different areas and these different experiences and can understand what's happening in that community, they'll maybe better to help the agency come up with solutions to the issues that they may be experiencing. There's a saying that says nothing about us without us. It's typically used for the Persons with Disabilities organizations, but I think it can be used in this area too, where you need people who can be part of the policy making and part of the decision-making processes, who are understanding of what the community experiences, because they may be from that community, or they may have relatives who are from those communities and can understand the needs versus what we think that community needs. It's also important for us, not only out in the field, but in the field of the environmental protection as well, to be diverse. So not only in the field in the communities, but within our offices, it's for us to have a more inclusive workforce. And the only way to feel inclusive is if you have other people who are similar to you in different ways, whether it be race, whether it be your disability status, or whether you're a veteran. So we need to have a diverse pool of candidates to help have that representation, so others can see, oh, there are people like me who work for this agency, and I'll feel welcomed, I'll feel included, and hopefully they share similar interests and ideas as I do. So it's a place where I can see myself working. So that's another way where representation is also very important. And at the end of the day, for us to have a greater impact on environmental justice, we have to have a bigger impact on the diversity that we are trying to see, so that we can be able to relate better to the communities that we're serving. I think someone asked a question that I saw in the chat about that, and we can get to that when we get to the Q&A about the diversity and the support for EPA, for the candidates that come to work for EPA. But again, I bring that back to say that's why it's important for us to have people who look like us and look like, you know, someone to represent whatever group you identify with in the agency. And with that, I'll turn it back to Laura.
Great. I think we can go ahead and open it up for Q&A now. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box at the bottom of your screen.
Okay. The first question I saw was, do we have an MOU with Howard University? And the answer to that question is no. Region 3 does not have a MOU with Howard University because of its proximity to our headquarters office in Washington, D.C. So Washington, D.C. and our headquarters office, they did have one in the past. I'm not sure if it's current right now, but our MOUs are always in a different statuses, I guess you can say. So if there has been one in the past, and we've done it here with Region 3, where if there has been one established, all we have to do is find the right contacts on campus and reinvigorate it the same way it happened with Lincoln's. We just need to find a dedicated professor or group of professors who are interested in bringing it back to life. And we can, you know, get it started again and get things moving. We are currently in the process of working with our headquarters office on other MOUs that are for the universities that are closer to them, such as Bowie and University of Maryland Eastern Shore, just so that we can have a greater presence on campus, and it's easier, like as I said, proximity wise, for them to reach those universities versus us, but we would still work collaboratively to provide the same type of resources and opportunities. A second question is, what support is available to minorities once they have actually entered the workforce? For instance, a lot of times these students will be entering workplaces where they are either the only minority within the workforce or one of very few minorities, and that can be a bit difficult to acclimate to socially, especially if there aren't many individuals present that they can relate to culturally. So I will take that one again. EPA has a program called the Special Emphasis Programs, which is housed under the Office of Civil Rights, which is where I work. I also kind of manage that program as well for our office. And the Special Emphasis Programs consist of groups for each of the, they're not necessarily just the ethnicities, but we do have the Black Employment Program. We have the Asian Pacific Islander Program. We have Native American, Alaska Native. So there's several, I think there's 9 or 10 altogether. We also have Veterans Program, Persons with Disabilities Program. So we have these programs in place to support newer employees as they come in and support them all throughout their career. The programs are put in place to be advocates for those individuals. We do events throughout the year, especially within the months that they are observed. So for instance, we are currently in the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and we have hosted several events to help educate our workforce about the Asian Pacific American Islander culture and different experiences like that. So they are supported when they come here. It's just a matter of that employee, you know, taking the step forward to reach out to those people to say, hey, I want to be a part of this group. And from there, I love that program. I love the Special Emphasis Program because we are all very inclusive and try to uplift each other. So the support is here within EPA. Okay.
We have one more question, I think I see here. What relationships does this program /board have with HBCUs nationwide?
I guess that question is for me again. There are all of our regions. There are 10 regions within EPA nationwide, and each region has varying relationships with the schools and universities in their region. I know Region 4 and Region 6 have very vast programs because there are more HBCUs in the South than there are here in the Northeast. They have a very robust program as well. So then pretty much the same thing, that the agency is getting closer to a point of having sort of standardized memorandum of understanding where we're offering the same types of resources or goals, but the based on the school's needs is where the MOUs differ. So we are present nationwide, and we don't only specifically focus on HBCUs, we also, at the minority serving institutions is an umbrella term to also include the Asian American, Pacific Islander focused universities, Hispanic serving institutions, and some of the others. So it's not just HBCU. So if you were interested, if anyone's interested for a university outside of the HBCU, you would just need to contact or find whoever the lead is for that region and see what programs and partnerships they have established. The next question is, what are some challenges with this program and how can industry professionals support it?
I think we can open that. I mean, if you're welcome to take it, Britany, but I think we can open it to the rest of, if anybody wants to take it, especially, I mean, I would love to hear it from John's perspective or anybody else.
Yeah, I'll be glad to chime in on the one about the challenge and how, so obviously in order to, we would love to have more, as going into the context of the current agreed, MOU or program that we have, Hampton University, Norfolk State, and Virginia DEQ. If there was more funding, that would allow for more student internships. So the part that the private industry can come in, definitely, for that matter, Virginia DEQ has a set of contractors, right, that provide services to them. So as part of that academic research training experience, that private sector can provide, funding for a few spots, and actually, it even allows to broaden that perspective to the students, right? One thing is to kind of have the academic, which is more on the learning side, the state agency and regulation, but then the private sector. And so it provides even a nice opportunity for them to kind of realize that, based on the key thing here, that sometimes the students think, oh, if I'm a electrical engineer, there's no, they may think, oh, I may just have to do more on work on tech, without realizing there's enough, there are job opportunities for folks in electrical engineering and in other fields in air quality monitoring or environmental type of programs. Your expertise is required. And, just to give an example, that's the case of Ethan. He's there's some policy, but one of the key elements, as he says, in order to translate that data, it's going to come that being able to use ArcGIS and being able to put the data into some kind of visual context that it's going to be able to translate a message to the public. That's one of many aspects that come into play. So having that support from the private sector, it's more opportunities for students, definitely.
And I could say a little bit as well. If, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the students, almost everyone, this is their first professional job, and it's almost a shock to them that it means rules and structure and responsibilities. And if you get a speeding ticket in a state car, you have to pay it yourself. The state doesn't pay for it. But it gives them a pathway to employment later. And when they start going out on inspections on their own, they receive ID badges, and I encourage them to let the private industry know that they are interns and they're learning, and take patience with them. And that helps both them and private industry, so they can see that DEQ is doing its part to help the universities to provide students that will know what they do and how they do it, and have a good rapport with them.
Thank you, John. Dr. Hall, did you want to add to that one before we move on to the next question? Okay. The next question is, someone says, hello, I'm an alumni of Cheyney University class of 01. Can a for-profit or nonprofit partner with a university for the MOU program? And I think that might be, because I can't speak for the university, so I think that you guys would have to answer that.
So that's a very good question. That in an MOU, it's pretty much a memorandum of understanding. So I think what would be the different roles of the profits and nonprofits is going to be clearly delineated. So from that point of view, it shouldn't be an issue. I think that the key thing here for that, the part of having the for-profit or nonprofit, let's think about it more in terms of it's a community stakeholder, right? That has an interest on being able to even strengthen these partnerships with academic institutions, and in this case, state and federal environmental agencies. So in that sense, it shouldn't be an issue. The terms and conditions of that partnership are really clearly delineated in those MOUs. And for the most part, if the MOUs, I would say 99.9% of the time, they're created to pretty much set the rules of how to have this relationship. So if it requires to have, and 99.9% don't involve any type of monetary type of exchange. So in that sense, there's less, I'm gonna say, legal hurdles to be that you need to deal with. So.
Yes, the MOU the EQ has with EPA and Hampton U in Norfolk State is exactly specific to those universities to address the traditional underrepresentation of minorities from HBCU schools. So certainly it could be expanded to other population of schools and so on, but that we certainly try to preserve the intent of the MOU and then expand it as needed. Also, there is a financial factor. The grant money we have only is enough to support 2 students. So the more we expand it, which is certainly good, the more cost there is for that.
And I'm just going to add that I think that anything is possible when it comes to MOUs. We just added another partner, which was also another, even though it wasn't federal agency, it was a state agency, but there's also possibility of having an MOU directly with the university. And it all depends on what you want to do, what the purpose of the MOU would be. So we have multiple MOUs with many different organizations. And that might be the way to go, depending on what the purpose of the MOU is, what the goals are.
And as you all were speaking, it reminded me of another MOU we have with the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, who does have a nonprofit as a partner on their MOU. They partner with the Maryland Coastal Bays program, and that operates essentially the same way this MOU does, or Hampton and Norfolk's MOU does with VADEQ, where they have an internship set up with Maryland Coastal Bays where the students intern with that non-for-profit. It's with EPA funding through a different program, but that's how that operates. So it is definitely possible to have a not-for-profit. I'm not sure about a for-profit, but definitely a non-for-profit. It has been seen before, but I think it's just a matter of, as Ruben mentioned, making sure like the objectives and the role of that organization is identified within the MOU. We just signed an MOU with a nonprofit on their own MOU that's not associated with the university. It's what's called Heights Philadelphia, that services middle school through college students who are minority students or first-time college students, I believe. So we're trying to reach the range from middle school all the way through college to try to create that pipeline. So it's definitely possible that these are memorandums of understanding they're formal documents, but it's not a binding contract. So there's flexibility in how they're set up and what can be done within the MOUs. I'm trying to see if there is one more question. I think we have time for a little bit more. John, this question is for you. What advice would you give to a state agency interested in entering into an MOU with a university for an internship program?
That's a good question, and certainly approach the university and try to focus the intent of what kind of students you want to participate in the MOU. Is it science? Is it social science? Something like that. And decide, is it going to be funded or unfunded, or are these going to be paid interns or not? So some groundwork needs to be set ahead of time so that you can, when you approach the university to ask for their participation, that they have an idea of what's going to be involved for them. So did I answer that question?
I think so. So thank you very much. Ethan, I think this question is for you. What tips would you give to a student pursuing an internship with a state or federal agency?
For a student that has opportunity or want to pursue this type of thing, I would tell them to definitely put their best foot forward. Working with the EPA is definitely a great opportunity just to learn how it is to be in a professional environment and learn how it is to work potentially for the federal government. With this internship, there's a lot of structures that just like how Mr. John had mentioned earlier. This is a lot of structure. This may be an environment that you haven't been in before, but it's something that will not be something that's like rare for you in the future. You have to be used to this professional environment and definitely put your best foot forward and wanting to learn and have an open mind to things.
Thank you. I think that was a great answer.
And I'll say these, when the students come in and they're not used to the structure, by the time they leave, 10 weeks later, they are. And I remind them that this kind of work is a great resume builder. When you have worked for the state agency and you have that background, and I do hear from some of them every now and then asking for references for graduate school, professional school, other jobs, which I certainly am able and happy to do for them.
Thank you, John. Well, I think we are close to time. So I want to thank all of you for your participation today. Thank you for our panelists for joining today and sharing your insights from your different perspectives and different experiences under the Minority Serving Institutions program with your MOUs. Thank you to Ethan, and I'm so proud of you. I also manage the ESRIT program, so Ethan is one of our first interns that we're going to bring into officially. So I am happy to see him moving forward and welcoming him to the agency. I'm looking forward to continue working with all of you again. I want to thank Eimy and Cara for your help, and to our moderators in the background who have done the technical work as well. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I am going to put up one last thing on the screen here. So, one moment. We have reached the end of the summit for the day, but we have a closing few remarks that we wanted to share with you also. Please don't forget to complete the survey by using the QR code that is on the screen here. We will also put a link in the chat to this survey. And to close off today's summit, we would like to conclude with a video from Regional Administrator Ortiz's closing remarks. So I'm going to pull that up, and feel free to chime in if you have any trouble hearing it.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for stepping up and stepping into the Mid-Atlantic Summit this year. Whether it's your first time or whether you've been here before, we're glad that you participated and listened and learned and feel empowered. So whether you're a community member, an environmental justice crusader, an academic, a scientist, a student leader, a resident who just showed up to listen and find out how they can help, we just want to thank you for whatever you're doing in your leadership role, whether it's in your business or in your university or even in your household, it matters. I also want to thank all the speakers and moderators who shared their experiences and wisdom today. I want to thank Tom Perez from the White House, my boss, EPA Deputy Administrator Janet McCabe, our state secretaries. We had tremendous participation and we talk all the time. So those of you in the state should know that your principals are having a lot of conversations with us here at EPA on a consistent basis. I want to thank our meteorologists. We don't usually have meteorologists, but they have an incredible perspective to have. Every day they're watching the weather and the changing weather and its impacts on local communities and their personalities that everybody knows and listens to. So we're thrilled to have their participation. Also our other federal agency partners. There is a team here at the federal level that is working together. We all have a different piece, whether it's the Army Corps of Engineers or NOAA or the Forest Service. We're all working in the environment together, and I want to thank all of them, our federal partners who showed up today. Also want to thank some other newer voices to conferences like this. Dar Williams and Russell Armstrong, tremendous cultural perspective, reaching people that we might not be able to reach otherwise, and feeling connected and empowered to audiences, who need to feel connected. So I want to thank them as well. And also all the folks behind the scenes. For months, we've been planning this with many of our state partners and state associations, local leaders. So just thank you for whatever you did behind the scenes. And it's really about three things for me. It's about engaging, making sure that we're reaching out and listening, whether it's internal, external, because we're all on team environment together. And that's important, that we're connected. It's no us against them. It's only us. To align, to make sure that we're bringing our specific competencies or experiences or perspectives or accountability to the table. We need everybody to work on one team together. And then finally, to deliver, to get things done, to make sure that we're making a meaningful impact in the places that need it. And that's our focus here in the Biden-Harris administration, that we're investing in America and in every single corner. And in the 2+ years that I've been in this role, me and my team have met with many of you in every single corner of this region, from the southern coalfields of West Virginia, McDowell County, to Erie, Pennsylvania, in the upper northwest corner, to Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, in those historic communities in the northeast, and all the way down to Hampton Roads in the southeast, and hundreds of places in between. So we're showing up across sectors, across cities, urban and rural, and making sure that we're doing everything that we can to give a boost to the folks on the ground. And this EPA is a little bit different than maybe EPAs in the past, or the stereotypes of us. We are working closely with sectors that we haven't engaged so much before. We have been working closely with the agriculture community, with farms. We're reaching out to the private sector across the board, including factories. We're showing up to old cities. We're showing up to farmlands. Regardless of what kind of production farms are doing, we're engaging with them closely as well. We know that there's historic waterways that we all impact. There's 3 major ones in our region, and we've showed up to all of them. We're also showing up to the fence line communities, the places that border the polluters. And we're also showing up to beautiful national parks like the New River Gorge, our newest national park in West Virginia. And it's important that we do that because everybody's shares, a commitment to our environment, and we need to work together. Also, we're showing up in, newer places that are sprouting up from old brownfields, and also neighborhoods that were once racially and economically segregated from redlining, communities that have been on the margins, but not anymore. And all these places, we love to get out. We love to see what folks in the community see and live with every single day. So we've been walking the streets, we've been wading in the waters, we've been paddling, and we've seen and heard, and in some cases smelled, things that need our attention. So we're committed and we're engaged. And we still got a lot of work to do. Don't want to understate that in any way, shape, or form. But the good news is that we're working together, more than ever before, across all these sectors, across, all these different corners of our region, and again, no us against them. It's only us. And that's how we're doing it, because, we talk about these historic investments and, all this level of funding that's never been available before. And that's great. And that's important. But our measure of success is going to be whether we get these resources to the right people in the right places with the right projects, to make a difference, the places that need it the most. And that's where so many of you come in. And that's the alignment piece, alignment, making sure we're giving a boost to folks on the ground who are doing great work, who know what the solutions are, and that we're getting the resources in their hands, in your hands. And the delivery is important, to make sure that this isn't talk, this is walk. That at the end of the day, the wastewater treatment plants or the drinking water systems are upgraded and healthy, that kids are riding in more and more electric school buses, and that the bus drivers have a less stressful experience and one of the toughest jobs in our region. That's a big deal. That matters. Community solar, transitioning to more renewable energy, that we're investing in the capacity of tribes and community organizations because they're doing the work on the ground. We're supporting our teachers and our schools and our students because they're the future, and that we're working to make progress, in all of our historic waterways, the Delaware, the Ohio River watershed, and the Chesapeake Bay in between, that we're paying attention to all of them because folks see and hear and live in those watersheds every single day, and they deserve the highest quality of life and the cleanest water possible. But moving forward, we are going to continue to prioritize our commitment to these communities that have been historically on the margins. And that includes our tribes, in particular, our resilient First Nations that have had a historic connection to our region. They, many of our waterways and some of our states even bear the names of these First Nations. And it's our commitment in this administration that we empower and help reconnect tribes to these historic lands, again, that often, bear their names, and that we also listen and learn from them because they have incredible wisdom, incredible experience, and so much of our nation owes an incredible debt to them. So we are showing up and we're listening. And these communities that bear more than their fair share of stressors, with data and just with years and years of institutional knowledge and working with all sorts of activists and with the government, we know where many of these places are. We've identified 37 priority engagement communities, places that have environmental justice concerns. And they're not all urban. There's certainly urban stressors, but we know that rural communities are often forgotten. And we're engaging and showing up there and investing and walking in those communities and helping empower them for the solutions that they need. A lot of these environmental justice challenges, urban, rural, and everywhere in between, are decades and in some cases centuries in the making. They're complex. They're social, cultural, economic, as well as environmental. And we have to work together across many different disciplines, listen to many voices to help untie these stubborn knots that have been tied for too long. But, if anything is taken away from today, it's that EPA in our role, and we do have a role, but we can't do this alone. We need you. We need each and every one of you in the organizations and institutions in the neighborhoods that you represent. We have to build these partnerships, across sectors. Historical adversaries have to come together because we have so much to do. It's the only way that we're going to solve these stubborn problems and help hand a cleaner and healthier environment to the next generation. So if you're here today, I think you share that belief that change is possible, that we can get things done, that cynicism is not an option, as failure is not an option. We have got to work together. And this includes the tough stuff. Climate change can feel very overwhelming, no question. These communities that have been stuck in cycles of environmental justice, you know, it can be disheartening and overwhelming, but change is possible when we work together. Change is possible when we're intentional. Change is possible when we care. And you know, I am committed to working together and undoing the false narrative that we're too divided, that, you know, rural can't work with urban, or that farmer can't work with environmentalist, or that working class folks can't work with academics. I do not believe that. I believe that we're one team and we have to, and we will work together. So going forward, you know, let's commit to that, to engage, you know, across, you know, all sectors and all different types of folks and communities to protect this incredible resource that we've inherited, to align that we're going to work together, that we're going to bring all of our skills and competencies together and perspectives to figure things out, and that we're going to deliver, that we're going to get things done, and then we're going to keep it moving. So if you couldn't tune in to everything today and there was a lot, or if you had to miss something or had to step away, or if you want to go back to something, no worries. We recorded each session. They'll all be available online in a couple of weeks, and we'll send a notice out to let you know about that. So please go back if you're interested in something, or if you want to share something with a colleague or a friend, don't hesitate. And also don't hesitate to stay in touch with us. You know, we, as you can tell, are highly engaged and highly committed to our common success. So don't be shy. You know, follow us on social media, and we have a lot of good stuff on social media. We're going to send you a survey as well to let us know what you thought about the summit. If you think there's anything we're missing or anything that we should do again, we want to know. But please don't be shy. We're on your team. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the upcoming months. Hey,
A final reminder, if you're still on, to complete the survey. And with that, we are finished with today's summit, and thank you everyone for joining.